The difference between starting at 25 and starting at 35 is not 10 years. It is $612,000. That number isn't a projection or a best-case scenario. It is the historical outcome of the same $300 monthly contribution, the same index fund, the same average return with one variable changed, the start date. That single decision, made once on an ordinary Tuesday when nothing feels urgent, produces a gap wider than most people will earn in a decade. This is what that gap actually looks like to live inside. You are 25. You don't feel 25 in any meaningful financial sense. You feel like someone who just figured out how to pay rent on time and keep the lights on simultaneously, which is its own kind of victory. The money is not impressive. The job is entry-level. The apartment has a leak you've been meaning to report for 3 months. None of this is the point. The point is a number, not a large number. $200 a month. Maybe $300 if the month cooperates. You set up an automatic transfer the week you read something that finally landed, not because you understood compound interest theoretically, but because you ran the numbers yourself in a spreadsheet at 11 p.m. And the output didn't seem real, so you ran it again. It still didn't seem real. You set up the transfer anyway. The account shows $200, then $400, then $387 after a week where the market dropped 2% and your $600 became $583. You check it every day for the first month, then every few days. Then you stop checking it the way you stop checking a plant once you know it's alive. You just water it and walk away. This is the entire skill, not analysis, not market timing, not picking the right sector or reading earnings reports. The skill is the walking away, the discipline of treating a number on a screen with the same emotional neutrality you treat a parking meter. It's running. You fed it. You leave. By 27, you have $7,400 in the account. You contributed $5,800 of that. The market provided $1,600 you didn't earn, didn't work for, didn't think about. That $1,600 is the first time money has made money for you in any amount you can actually see. It doesn't feel like anything in particular. It should. This is the mechanism that, left alone for long enough, produces the number that didn't seem real. You are watching it start. At 29, the account crosses $20,000. You contributed $11. $600 over 4 years. The market added $8,400. The gap between what you put in and what exists is now larger than what a month of your salary looked like at 25. The compounding is beginning to move at a pace that is faster than your contributions. You haven't told anyone about this. Not because you're secretive, because there's nothing to say yet. Nobody asks. Nobody notices. The account doesn't come up at dinners. Your lifestyle hasn't changed. The car is the same. The apartment, slightly better now, is not the apartment of someone who has $20,000 invested. It's the apartment of someone who made a specific decision at 25 and has been quietly not undoing it for 4 years. At 35, you have $67,000 in the account. You contributed $28,800 across 10 years. The market added $38,200. The returns are now the primary contributor. You are almost a passenger. The machine you built at 25 with $200 a month has developed its own momentum. Removing your contributions would slow it but not stop it. The interest is earning interest. That sentence used to be abstract. Now it's a line item. Your friends are largely fine. Some are ahead of you on things you can measure externally: bigger apartments, newer cars, one impressive vacation per year documented thoroughly. A few are ahead of you on things that don't photograph well: emergency funds, retirement accounts. The specific kind of calm that comes from knowing you could absorb a bad month without rearranging everything. You don't talk about the account at dinners. You still water the plant. You still walk away. Now pause that story, rewind it entirely. Put the same person at 35 instead of 25. Same income, same discipline, same index fund, same $300 a month. The only difference is the decade that didn't happen. You are 35. You are starting. Not from catastrophe, not from a dramatic failure or a crisis that wiped you out. You are starting from the version of life that simply absorbed the money as it arrived, rent increases, a car you needed, a relationship that cost something when it ended, a period in your late 20s when the income was real, but so was everything else competing for it. Nothing broke. Nothing was wasted exactly. The money just moved through you the way water moves through a place that wasn't designed to hold it. You open the account on a Saturday morning with $1,000 you've been holding in a savings account that earns 0.4%. You set the automatic transfer. You read the same things the 25-year-old read. You feel the same low-grade skepticism about a number that won't be impressive for years. You do it anyway because the alternative, you've recently calculated, is worse. The first year is identical in experience to starting at 25. The checking happens. The market dips. The instinct to stop fires and gets overridden. The balance crosses $4,000 and stays there for a month, and then crosses $5,000. And the number starts to feel like something other than an experiment. What is different is the math running underneath the experience. At 25, a dollar invested has 40 years to compound before a standard retirement age. At 35, that same dollar has 30 years. The difference is not 10 years of growth. It is the exponential output of 10 compounding cycles on every dollar you will ever invest. At 40, 5 years in, you have $23,000. You contributed $18,000. The market added $5. 0. Compare this to the person who started at 25. At 40, they have $112,000. Same contributions adjusted for the years they overlapped. Different outcome. The gap is real and visible and will not close. It will widen from here. This is not a verdict. It is not a reason to stop or slow down or treat the account as evidence of a mistake you can no longer fix. It is the math described accurately so that the decision to continue gets made with clear eyes instead of comfortable approximations. At 45, you have $55,000 invested. The person who started at 25 has $227,000. The gap is $172,000 and growing. In a good market year, their portfolio returns $22,700 without a single additional contribution. Your portfolio returns $5,500. You are both doing the same thing. The distance is time, and time cannot be bought back, only used from here. What the late starter has that the early starter doesn't is specificity. At 35, the urgency is real in a way it isn't at 25. At 25, retirement is a concept. At 35, you've watched your parents navigate their 60s. And you know what the word means now in a way you couldn't have at 25. The fear is present and calibrated and useful. The late starter rarely panics out during a correction because they understand, viscerally, that they cannot afford to. The early starter sometimes does. The abstract danger of doing the wrong thing is a weaker governor than the concrete experience of having already done it for a decade. Now go further. Start at 45. Same person, same discipline. A life that was full and real and genuinely used the money it moved through, children, a house, the years when everything cost more than you planned and the plan kept adjusting. You are 45. You have $8,000 in a retirement account from a job you held for 3 years in your 30s. You have the income now that you didn't have at 25. The kids are older. The mortgage has 18 years left. You are starting. The math at 45 is not discouraging if you read it correctly. From 45 to a standard retirement age of 65, you have 20 compounding years. $1 invested at 45 at a 7% average annual return becomes $3.87 by 65. That is real growth. It is not the $14.97 a dollar invested at 25 becomes over 40 years, but it is not nothing. At $600 a month starting at 45, you accumulate approximately $310,000 by 65. Not lavish, not the number you would have had starting at 25. Genuinely enough if Social Security and a paid mortgage exist alongside it. What the 45-year-old has that neither of the others has is income. The career is established. The highest earning years are now. The capacity to contribute $600, $800, $1,000 a month is real in a way it wasn't at 25, when $300 was a stretch. The late start can be partially compensated for by the sheer velocity of the contribution. Not fully. The compounding years cannot be replaced, but partially, meaningfully. The 45-year-old also has the clearest picture of the destination. At 25, you are saving for an abstraction. At 45, you are saving for a date on a calendar that you can see from where you're standing. The motivation is specific. The math is specific. The target is specific. These things help. What is identical across all three starting points is the mechanism. The index fund doesn't know how old you are. The compounding doesn't check your history. The automatic transfer doesn't care about the years that came before it. The machine opens every month and accepts whoever shows up with whatever they have. The only variable it responds to is time, and the only way to get more time is to start now, which means today. Which means the account you have not yet opened is the one decision that changes every projection you've just read. The 25-year-old who read the number that didn't seem real and opened the account anyway has $612,000 more at 65 than the 35-year-old who read the same number and thought about it for another year. The thought didn't cost nothing. Thinking about it for 1 year cost compounding on every dollar they would have invested during that year, and all the years of return that would have followed. The most expensive financial decision most people ever make isn't a bad investment. It isn't a car they couldn't afford or a house they bought at the wrong time. It is the absence of a decision. The year they meant to start, the month the transfer was going to be set up, the Tuesday that came and went without the account being opened. Somewhere tonight, a 27-year-old has a tab open in a different window. The brokerage account application is half finished. They'll get back to it. The tab will close. The week will pass. The month will pass. The machine is open. It runs on whoever shows up. The question has never been whether it works. The question is only whether you're in it.